The ABC 27 News investigators hoping to get you out of your home and into your local community meetings. Every week, 3 of your elected leaders meet to make big decisions about your money.
But oftentimes, no one's watching. Why? Amanda St. Hilaire traveled hundreds of miles through 8 mid-state counties looking for answers.
I have a confession. Part of this story was a lot harder than I thought it would be. What we're about to show you affects everyone. It's your family, your safety, your wallet. So I thought finding someone like you to interview would be easy. It wasn't, because it turns out a big part of this story is that you're not here.
All right, good evening, everyone.
But then we met Carolyn George at her first county commissioners meeting.
But I thought, you know, it's really just a walk up the street. Why don't I go and see what's happening here at the county level?
There's more to Carolyn's story, and we'll get to that in a bit. But first, a look at how these meetings go.
It's time for public comment.
Is there any public comment?
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board? Okay.
Hearing none.
It appears there is no public comment this morning.
You get the idea. Over the last few months, we drove 330.6 miles to get to Adams, Cumberland, Dauphin, Franklin, Lancaster, Lebanon, Perry, and York County meetings, interviewing any commissioner who would go on camera. 17 of them did. We wanted to know why in all these counties, the big decisions and your chances to weigh in happen weekday mornings when you're likely at work. Commissioners say that's not the question they typically get.
Often I would be asked the question, well, what is a county commissioner?
3 commissioners per county in charge of hundreds of millions of tax dollars. That's your money, your elections, some of your roads and bridges, your property values, children and youth, county jail, and 911, to name a few.
These are important in your life. Maybe not now, but when you're in crisis is when you want to know that county government's working for you.
So if these are such big issues, why daytime meetings instead of evenings like school boards?
We certainly are not having meetings during the day to negate transparency. It's basically the best way for us to do business.
All in favor of the motion?
That's because those meetings often rely on courthouse security and other employees who would need to work late for night meetings.
So it's an additional expense to the taxpayers, which is fine if they were well-attended meetings.
That's when we picked up on a pattern.
And we did change our meeting schedule to include evening meetings.
Nobody was showing up.
We would be lucky if we had 1 or 2.
People seem to be so busy in the evenings.
I have 3 kids, all in sports. So evenings are difficult for me. I've heard that from other people.
In these counties, low turnout made it tough to justify the cost of evening meetings. But not in Lancaster County.
Good evening, everyone. We'll call the county commissioners meeting to order.
More than 50 evening meetings over the last 14 years. They're not packed, but commissioners say they do pay off.
We have a big budget, and it's a big county. We have a big operation. We want to make sure that we're hearing from constituents. We want to make sure that we're addressing people's problems.
Sometimes that input is the difference between making a good decision and maybe making a decision that isn't as good as it could be.
Call to order the legislative meeting.
Dauphin County is considering something similar. It's the only county in which none of the commissioners would answer our questions, but they did send out their chief clerk to say, you should get involved.
Write your commissioners, email, all those kind of things are great ways to give us feedback as to what's going on.
Right now we're headed to Cumberland County. We went through minutes for 52 meetings over the last year and found only 2 times when everyday people like you showed up for that public comment opportunity. The commissioners say we got them thinking, and now there's something they want to tell us.
Good afternoon, everybody.
We've come up with an idea, instead of having a formal meeting, in the evenings, have maybe a more or less a town hall concept.
Like an evening meeting, but focusing on what you want to discuss.
Representative democracy, it only works if it's two-way communication.
We're taking a bigger chunk of their paychecks every year, so it's important that they know what they're getting for that.
To see how those evening forums work,
We appreciate you coming out this evening.
just look at Adams County.
I like to see people get involved in government to know exactly what is going on.
That brings us back to Carolyn. By now, she sat through her first county meeting and decided she's a fan.
The easiest place for people to make their views and needs known is at the county level.
A commissioner helped Carolyn solve a problem. She says that could be you, and she hopes eventually it is.
Regardless of your politics, being an engaged, informed citizen is ultimately a nonpartisan activity.
And to put it in perspective, by not getting involved in county government, you're giving elected leaders free rein over budgets that have millions, in some cases hundreds of millions of your tax dollars. And if you're watching this right now and you're thinking, I'm so busy, how could I possibly fit something else in my schedule? You're not alone, and that's why it's hard for any meeting, no matter what time of day, to draw those big crowds.
It's so true. People are so busy, and that's why we've been covering more of these meetings.
That's right. So we can tell you what happened during the meeting, but what we can't do is speak for you during that public comment period. And if you have an issue that you want to be heard, that's really where it's at, because when you speak during public comment, it's on public record. Maybe puts a little more pressure on the commissioners to respond to your concern. So if you can, bring your kids, turn it into a civics lesson. That's what my parents did for me. Rotate with your neighbors, because it is worth it to be there and to give your input.
Here, here. We have more on the web?
We have so much more on the web because we had 20 interviews for this story, and we want you to be able to hear what everyone had to say about this. So we posted those extended interviews on our website and made it easy for you to look up your county commissioners when they meet and how you can contact them. And tonight at 11, we're going to show you the role technology plays in all this and how that could change things in the future.
Nice
Thank
work,
you so
Amanda.
much.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.